from the studio whose biggest accomplishment was somehow making a movie with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman perform poorly at the box office, it's The Batman. It's finally Robert Pattinson's turn to don the cowl as he takes on his biggest and baddest foe yet, a deranged Reddit mod. Witness downtown Gotham City, in all its shitholy glory in The Batman, a movie that's sure to make you think, wow, Jared Leto really fucking sucked as the Joker, didn't he?
Whoa! This guy's crazy!
So, Paul, what did you think of The Batman?
I thought it was good. And welcome everybody to another episode of
Welcome.
Crusty Popcorn. We changed it up on you. Yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a fresh take on Batman. Well, I mean, fresh as in like film sense, I guess.
Yeah, because typically they're like a dark and gritty Batman is always made. Like, but this one is the more unique way of doing it. Like, it's a little like grimier.
Yeah, it was very sleazy, I would say.
Yeah.
It wasn't so crisp cut like the Nolan series.
Yeah, I also very much enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. It's one of DC's like best. I think it's better than Joker personally.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Hot take alert. I really like when DC does these kind of like smaller movies because when they were trying to do like the big Marvel universe stuff, it clearly wasn't working out for them. So I'm happy that they're kind of like approaching this new direction.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hope they keep up the standalone sort of feel to these movies. I doubt they will because it's a big movie studio, but it would be nice for them to just keep going this route.
But I mean, if these movies just keep making a ton of money, I see no reason why they would try to like change it, because like getting actors like Robert Pattinson and Joaquin Phoenix is kind of risky because they probably don't want to be a part of huge franchises.
Probably not.
Robert Pattinson especially, because he was in the Twilight movies and he was like, fuck all that.
He got locked into that.
Yeah, it went like famously, he's kind of had a lighter spot to Twilight these days, but like back then you could just tell he was completely miserable and just doing it for the money.
He said it himself. He hated it.
Yeah, in interviews, yeah.
He hated it.
But yeah, speaking of Robert Pattinson, I thought he was really good as Batman.
He really surprised me, yeah.
I was going to say, when he was cast initially, there was a bit of a backlash, but there usually always is amongst fans. I remember when Ben Affleck was cast and there was a huge kerfuffle about it. With Robert Pattinson, I was like, nah, y'all don't know what you're getting with this guy. Like, he's too good for a movie like this.
You know, that's so funny that you say that, because I was kind of in the same boat. I said, whoa, Robert Pattinson, huh? And
yeah.
A lot of people, you know, after Twilight, they kind of fell off and didn't watch any of his like other movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if you go back and you watch anything from him now, like they're pretty good. Like, have you seen? Have you watched Good Time?
I have seen Good Time. It's a very great movie.
It's a really good movie, and he's a great actor. He's really shown that he has range in his acting skills, and I like it. He's done a good job.
Yeah.
When I saw that he was being cast as Batman, I was like, oh, okay, like that's a weird choice.
There was just some like amazingly brain dead takes too, where it's like, oh, you mean Edward Cullen's gonna be Batman? I'm like, dude, do you still think that Justin Bieber has a bowl haircut? Like, what the fuck? Like, move on.
Yeah. Some people, you know, they get stuck in their ways and they'll move on.
For sure. And I thought that his interpretation of the character, as well as like Matt Reeves, the director, his interpretation was really grounded in a way that's very unique. Because I feel like Christopher Nolan tried to make him very practical, like, could Batman exist in real life? And I'm like, yeah, this suit looks like he could, but it also doesn't look very practical. You know, like Christian Bale's like, like constantly out of breath. He looks so clunky, like trying to fight people.
Yeah.
And I think this movie does a great job of blending like practicality with being somewhat realistic.
I actually did really enjoy the route they were going with. They did try to add a lot of realism to it, so they kind of thought out of like how his attire would look like, how his gear would look like, and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, for instance, like his Batman suit isn't even a suit, really. It's just like a getup, you know,
Yeah.
like it looked like he just went to Costco and bought some like combo boots and some pants, and he
Yeah.
like put some metal pieces on himself, and that's it.
Yeah, it doesn't look final, which is cool looking because it makes you look forward to like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna do, like if they make a sequel, like how they're gonna change up the suit. Because I guess we didn't establish this, but in this movie, he's very inexperienced. Like
Yeah.
he's like year two Batman,
Yes. He just
as
started.
opposed to the other movies where he's normally like been doing it for a while. I really like that approach because he has tech and he has like the Batcave and everything, but it's all so lo-fi and analog is what I would say. Like he has to turn so many dials and switches and like to get like the clear picture on things. Like it's not just like the sleek Marvel like hologram stuff, which is something I really appreciated because it adds to like the grimy tone of this movie.
Let's talk about the tone a little bit. I'm so as you said, like most Marvel films are pretty sleek and very
Hmm.
clean looking and stuff. This movie
Yeah.
actually took it the opposite way. We're
Yeah.
headed into Los Angeles and Gotham looks disgusting. I think Gotham was probably
Yes.
like one of the biggest stars in the movie.
Yes.
It really shone. It really shined through everything, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it really made me feel at home. It was very disgusting and grimy and crusty looking and
I felt like we could be lurking in those crevices somewhere.
exactly. It was awesome. We went to the same movie theater and we
Yeah.
actually were wondering, if people were going to, like, clap and stuff like in a Marvel film,
Yeah,
but I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't know," 'cause I heard it's pretty, dirty, so I doubt people would, and people didn't, so I was pretty
Yeah, there
happy about
was
that. I was able to enjoy it.
definitely some moments where maybe they were expecting clapping, but maybe it's just I'm so used to the Marvel formula. Because like when Batman first walks out and you see him on screen, there's a long pause when he's walking out. And it led me to believe that maybe the DC executives are like, "Oh, leave this empty for like applause." You know?
I I think they just did it in terms of the tone though, because
For
in the
sure.
intro, they talk a lot about how he has really worked to, like, inflict fear on people.
Yes, that
And
was a great intro.
yeah, and that's why they were
Mhm.
showing, like, shadows and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, he
Mhm.
has conquered the shadows," or whatever, or, "He is the shadows,"
Yeah,
right?
he is the shadows,
And
yeah,
then
that's
there's
what it said.
little tidbits of, like, people or, like, thugs doing shit, and, like, a spray can would roll into the shadows, and they would see, like, the Batman symbol up in the sky, and they'd go, "Oh, fuck."
Yes. Then they
And
just run away. That
yeah,
was
they run away.
so good.
All that whole sequence, I was like, "Oh, damn, that's really good." Like, they did a really good job with
Yeah.
that. And then I think that intro to the Batman walking out for the first time, I think
Mhm.
that adds to it. You know, that wasn't even the first time he did that. He just does that, like, throughout the movie. Every time that Batman does walk out and stuff like that, it's to inflict that fear and
Yeah,
to cement
exactly.
it, and there's also
Yeah.
that booming soundtrack in the background where it's just like, "Dun,
Dun,
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 dun, dun.
dun."
Yeah, this
Yeah.
does a great job. This soundtrack is really, really good.
Yeah, every time. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
ooh," and it I don't know if it's because he's an inexperienced Batman or what, but he was absolutely brutal in this film.
Yeah, he
Like,
was.
he was, like, pretty it looked like he was killing people.
Yeah, where I'm just like, "Okay, bro, like, this dude definitely has fucking brain damage."
Mhm. Like, there was multiple times when he did a really hard punch or blows like that, and even I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh," like, "Ooh."
Yeah, and, I felt a lot of people in the audience that were just kinda like, "Holy shit," at some of these scenes, because there isn't a whole lot of fighting in this movie. I would say it's more of a detective thriller than it is
Yeah.
like an action movie, but when fighting does happen, it's, like, really visceral in a good way, but it makes me wish that this movie was bloodier.
It seems like maybe it was going to be rated R, like, if they something happened in behind the scenes where maybe they wanted a wider audience for the Batman to come back or something, you know?
Mhm.
And they didn't wanna close out those PG-13 tickets.
I wonder what the limit is for blood with PG-13.
I have no idea.
Because I'm not asking Batman to murk people. I'm just saying, like, I think they should have been like Batman should have been a little bloodier, especially with how the Riddler would kill people in this movie.
They could have totally gone rated R if they really wanted to.
Before we head into kind of spoiler discussion, I just want to talk about one more thing, which was Paul Dano as the Riddler.
Yeah.
When he was cast, I was instantly sold on this movie. Because I'm like, Paul Dano as the fucking Riddler. Yes, whenever you need an unhinged person, like he just has a niche for playing unhinged, eccentric weirdos.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't
um,
even know he was in the movie until I saw his face, and then when I saw
yeah.
his face, I was like, "I know this guy, but I
Mhm.
don't remember where he's from," until I looked
Yeah.
back in his, repertoire and I saw that he was on, There Will Be Blood, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, he's
Mhm.
Eli Sunday."
Yes, he's the priest in that Eli Sunday, and he was also in like Little Miss Sunshine and Swiss Army Man, and I think Prisoners.
Mm.
Yeah, he was in Swiss Army Man. Yeah, Prisoners. He's the crazy guy in that. But like, yeah, he's just like excellent in this movie. I think he steals the show whenever he's on screen. It's a total delight.
Oh, he is. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he did great. He did great. There were some scenes where it kind of threw me off a little bit, but we'll talk about it. But
yeah.
it felt like, I don't know, it felt like they could have done it in a certain way, but they went with another route to kind of modernize things, and I was like, "Okay."
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're referring to, and yeah, I have an issue with that as well. So we'll wrap up our spoiler thoughts. Just like in a couple words, Paul, would you recommend it? Would you not?
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely recommend this movie if you wanna feel gross.
Yeah, I would also recommend this movie. I will say that at times it does feel its length, and the third act is a bit sloppy. But other than that, it's pretty fucking great for a Batman movie. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, for the most part, it has really good shots, great cinematography, good. I think it had pretty good pacing for the most part,
Yeah,
but I agree with Noah here.
yeah,
It did feel a tad long, in my
yeah.
opinion.
That's it. Those are our spoiler-free thoughts. The rest of this video will be completely spoilerific. So if you haven't seen this movie, you just go ahead and click away. If you have seen it, or you just don't give a fuck about spoilers, here we go. Spoiler warning: 3, 2, 1. Paul Dano as the Riddler was really, really, really
He
good.
did a great job.
Um, I love the idea of Batman being this idea of vengeance and like anger,
Mhm.
and how that can be misconstrued in a wrong way.
They
Um,
Yeah, yeah, it comes back to bite him in the ass later in the movie.
yeah, I really really love that because I mean it's pretty like prevalent to human history where people take something and they take it the complete wrong way and they misconstrue the original message. Um, and I think that the Riddler acting on that and being surprised that Batman isn't in on it was a really good angle for his character. I love that shit.
Yeah,
Um,
he got
I
really
thought it was
upset
very
too.
well done.
He did.
Yeah, yeah, and that was one of those scenes where I'm like, "Oh, there's that Paul Dano overacting." I
No,
love
no! Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yep, yep, yep. It's
Yeah.
I do the exact same thing when I take a dump at someone's house and it gets tapped. Oh, no. No!
When it doesn't flush,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, no. You wanna start about Andy Serkis? I know you wanted to bring him
Oh,
up.
yes. Yeah, completely forgot about him. But let's say, so Andy Serkis plays Alfred. Okay, so when I think of Alfred, I think of like an older looking, like posh gentleman that's like very like polite and
Mhm.
stuff. And he's very helpful and he's a bit of a badass, but like he's not like menacing. Whereas like Andy Serkis looks like he's constantly about to beat some ass in this movie. Like
Oh,
I'm like this dude looks like Batman himself. Like he just doesn't really fit that character to me.
okay.
Um he would have worked better as like fucking the one of the gang leaders, honestly. He just doesn't look like a posh, gentlemanly butler
Yeah,
like Alfred should.
that's fair. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking about something else entirely.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted to talk mainly about, like, the relationship between the Batman and Alfred. I didn't think there
Okay.
was much of one there throughout the movie, like, they barely had any. anything with Alfred there.
I think I might be able to kind of defend the movie a little bit on that, because I think that it was maybe done intentionally, because it's to show that Bruce Wayne isn't really Bruce Wayne in this movie. Like, he's just Batman. He's kind of lost any and all human connection he might have had. It's like completely consumed him. Because they do mention that he doesn't give a fuck about Wayne Enterprises. He doesn't care about anything. Like, and every time someone talks about Bruce Wayne, they're like, "Oh, he's a recluse. Like, no one's seen him in years."
Yeah.
Kind of deal. So maybe that's affecting Alfred. But I do agree that their relationship seemed a little weak.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if it was just your first time going to see a Batman film, you would be like, it
Yeah.
wasn't much of that guy. I don't know why he likes Bruce Wayne so much. He's kind of a dickhead.
Yeah. I don't know why he sticks around. Yeah.
But I mean, I do agree with you that he wasn't posh enough. There was no scene of him going, Master Wayne, would you like
Yeah.
asshole? Nothing like that. And it was kind of upsetting, but yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't, like, this movie's 3 hours long, and there really wasn't any room for Robert Pattinson to just show his bat dick.
Yeah,
Like,
3
come on,
hours
dude.
long and no toilet scene. Come on.
Yeah.
Upset.
But it's funny that you mentioned that, the whole chemistry, because I actually feel like the chemistry between Batman and Catwoman was also not very good.
It was yeah, at one point they kind of just fall in love. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't really buy it, and both actors are very good. I thought Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman was pretty good. But I just didn't really buy their relationship. Like you said, they just kind of randomly fall for each other at some point. There's no like character moment between the two where they learn something about each other and they start to fall in love. I feel like they fall in love first and then they learn about each other afterwards.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't learn much about each other, if
Yeah.
anything, though. Like, the only thing that happens is the Batman stalks her for a moment and then watches her undress, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the whole time I was like, "Yep, this is the Batman I know." Creep, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something else we should bring up, that like this Batman is very unique in that he's not like suave like the other ones.
Weirdo the whole time. I was
Yeah,
like,
he's a
shit.
complete fucking weirdo.
Yeah, it's like, I said, like, everyone considers him a recluse, and he looks just like a sickly, like, Pierce the Veil, like, emo, you know? He has this fucking hair over to the side, and he talks like this.
Yeah, he's very monotone, and people might consider that like a wooden performance, but I think that's just Bruce Wayne. Like, that's just how he would be.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. It's a very weird guy that I don't know who would want to hang out near him. So I didn't really see
Yeah.
why Catwoman started falling for him in the first place.
What was the mystique of it, right? She didn't know that he was Bruce Wayne and boring as fuck.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. That's probably what it
Yeah.
was. Because if she knew that he was like stalking her from the beginning, like, oh, well, I mean, he kind of told her, didn't he? He says in the beginning, he's like, "Oh, is your friend Anka over there or whatever?"
Yeah, he said that. Yeah, I was watching you.
Yeah, I was watching. So it's like, okay, you're not gonna feel weird by that. Whatever. Yeah,
Like, whatever, bro. When I do it, it's a problem, right? But when Batman does it, no one cares.
bullshit. But he didn't really have like any split personality like the regular comics or any other movies would have him be like. You
Mhm.
mentioned it already. Usually, he has like a very suave Bruce Wayne
Yes.
facade, and then he converts over to like the Batman. But maybe it's because it's in the early years and he's still learning stuff that he doesn't know how to differentiate the two or something.
Yeah, that's what I would argue. Like, people online are already starting to do that thing they do with Spider-Man. Like, oh well, Andrew is a good Spider-Man, but not a good Peter Parker. They're doing that shit with Batman.
Oh,
When they're saying that Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne was bad, I'm like, that wasn't Bruce Wayne in the movie. That was just Batman.
Yeah.
Again.
I don't know. We'll have to see if in the second film he acts like that.
Yeah, I could be proven wrong, but I don't think I will be.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of sad that there's going to be a second film. I would have liked this to just be a single, but
So, yeah, like near the end of the movie, which we'll get to, they kind of introduce a character in prison who they might be setting up to be like the villain of the next one. And I agree with Paul where I'm like, I really don't mind just having a standalone Batman movie that's really good.
Yeah.
Like, there doesn't need to be this franchise, but I mean, there has to be, right? Because
Yeah.
these movies make a shit ton of money.
Yeah. So they gotta do it.
Um,
It's fine. It's fine.
it's fine. But what I will say is this movie, I said it earlier in the review, but I'll elaborate it now. I feel like this movie really feels its length at times because this movie's almost 3 hours long.
Dude, by the time we were in like 2 hours and a half or maybe 2 hours, I started to check my like phone every now and then. I was like, damn, I was still going.
Yeah, okay, that's crazy. I did the exact same thing. Where like we got in at like 7, right? And at around like 9, I was checking my phone and I'm like, fuck, there's still another like 50 minutes to this
Yeah.
movie. Like
At some part, I thought it
um
was going to be the end. Like when he was looking at the sky or whatever, I was like, oh, that right
yeah.
there. And then no,
Yeah.
they just keep going. I'm like, oh my god, they could have stopped right
Yeah.
there if they wanted to.
Yep.
Maybe they just added more scenes to the end because they wanted to hit that 3 hour mark for whatever reason.
I'm not super sure, dude. Maybe they just like because if anything, I feel like there was so many parts of this that could have been cut down.
Mm.
Um, like I think with the Russian girl, the lover of Zoe Kravitz,
Mhm.
I don't know if they're lovers or friends or something because she calls her
I
baby.
think they're just like friends or like sisters, because they work in the same club or
Yeah,
whatever.
maybe. But I feel like her entire storyline could have been cut out and nothing would have changed. Like
Yeah,
because
honestly, it let go her
Zoe,
after.
yeah, Catwoman has she has the motivation already that the head boss Falcone killed her mom. Okay, perfect. You established why she hates her in why she hates him in one sentence. Why have this other plot line that doesn't really go anywhere?
Because they had to lead the Batman to her somehow, right?
But again, it's established that she might know who he is because of the pictures of the Russian girl, right? But you could just have that be pictures of Falcone instead.
Yeah.
Where Batman's like, "Hey, I want to know where this guy is." Catwoman sees it and he notices her reaction, and there you go. So I feel like that part could have been cut out. I feel like some of the stuff with Penguin could have been cut out, even though Colin Farrell as Penguin was fucking great.
I did not recognize him whatsoever. He looked like an
Yeah,
ugly slime ball as Penguin, so
perfect interpretation of our fans.
yeah.
Yeah,
They did a great
so
job, and then every time they went into that club with the Penguin, it
mhm.
always made me think if they were going into, like, a 1950s film or whatever, and they were gonna start talking in 50s lingo. "Hey,
How
dog, come
some
here, see?"
yeah, how some of those people talked is very weird. Like, yeah, I'm very worried about the precinct. Here, see?
Yeah, yeah. I thought they were gonna start
Yeah.
talking like that every time they went down there. It was a little bit of a tone shift for me.
Yes. It was a little odd. Um, but mentioned this earlier, but like I love the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of action scenes in this movie, and it was very much just like a mystery thriller taking you on a ride. Um,
Yeah.
because that's what this movie is. With the Riddler, like he's not gonna fight, you know.
Mhm.
He's gonna trick Batman and like make him use his smarts, which this movie does.
You
Like,
don't want a fight scene with Paul Dano?
I really don't. I was actually surprised because in almost every movie that Paul Dano is in, he gets the shit beat out of him, except for this one. Here, I'll do a quick little supercut of every time Paul Dano's gotten the shit kicked out of him. Okay, we're back. Now I have to do it, or else I'm gonna look like an idiot.
Yeah.
I love that this movie is just him using his brain and his detective skills because really no other movie does that. Every other movie kind of ignores. Like, there's one really good sequence in The Dark Knight that I can think of where he uses his detective skills, but other than that, it's never really been utilized.
Yeah, they really go pretty above and beyond with it. They do a lot of scenes with the detective work. Every time there was a murder, he was
Yes.
there on the scene.
Yes. And that's something that's never been done in one of these movies before,
Yeah. You
where they're
you remember
like
that first murder, though, with the, severed finger?
the thumb, yeah.
Yeah, the thumb.
Mhm.
Remember the setup for that where he starts walking in with a detective or with Gordon,
Mhm.
Commissioner
Mhm.
Gordon, and then all of the policemen are lined up to the sides and they're watching the Batman walk through. And
Yeah.
no one says anything until he gets to the very end of it, and that one guy halts him. He goes,
He's like,
"Hey, pal, what are you doing back
yeah.
there?" And it's like, what are you when I was watching this, I was like, "What the fuck? Like, why is he stopping him? Like, everybody let him pass, and you're the one dickhead to like say something. What a fucking asshole."
Yeah. Some of the cop stuff felt a little
I
clumsy.
think they.
Like,
I don't know if they just needed that character to say something to build a relationship with him because it's the same character that helps him find like that bomb thing at the end.
oh, you're right. It is the
But
same guy.
but it was just like so out of place in my head. I was like, why would you make him say anything when no
He
one?
should have been he should have been at the front of the line,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
anything.
at the
Yeah.
front, okay, but the
Yeah.
very end when he clearly saw everyone's letting him pass, like, why are you saying something? So dumb.
Yeah, okay, I know what you mean, yeah.
That part did
Um,
not sit well with me. I was just like, okay, that had to have been a mistake or something. There's no way. But that's just Cape
yeah.
Crusader shit. That's Cape shit, It's just Cape shit.
There was one scene that I really, really liked in this movie because the Riddler uses a weapon that you're not really familiar with. He uses a tool that you don't really know what it is, unless, you're a carpenter, but
Oh.
the layman doesn't know what the tool is.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a mystery throughout the whole movie. And when they're investigating the Riddler's apartment, Batman notices like a carpet, like the floor. He pays attention to it. And later on in the movie, like several hours into it, the police officer that stops him at the beginning just casually mentions like kind of a weird tool for someone to use, right? Like this thing is usually used to like for carpentry. And then that gives Batman the idea to pull the carpet. And I was like, damn, that's really clever. I like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, no, they did a lot of good,
The mystery element was really good in this movie.
yeah, they did a good job with it.
Because normally movies that have mysteries in them, they keep information from you that's very, very important. And then when they tell you at the end, it's like, oh, look how clever we are. Whereas with this movie, all the information is there.
Yeah.
I do wish the riddles were a little harder. I found them very
Oh,
easy.
yeah? Yeah? You
Yeah,
figured it out right away, huh?
I did actually. I did
Okay,
because
look
of my big brain and
at
massive
this
cock.
life.
Yeah, for people with huge wieners like me, this movie was pretty baby's game.
Yeah.
I guess before we kind of like wrap things up, we can talk about the end a little bit. Where I felt the movie was the weakest, and it was starting to lose me a lot, actually. Because I feel like the Riddler was captured really early in the third act, and he was kind of out of it for the rest of the movie. I was disappointed in that. Like, what did you think of that whole element, like the ending part?
Uh, I thought it was different at the very least. No big bad
Mhm.
guy fight or anything like that. It was just him
Yeah, no big blue sky laser or anything
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
just him taking on like a group of thugs, but the way they set it up was kind of fucking terrible in my opinion. So the Riddler is like a YouTube uh he has a YouTube channel.
Hey guys.
Yeah, like he doesn't have his voice changer on or anything like that, so he just looks like a Reddit mod doing like a schizo tier rant on YouTube
Yeah.
to his like 500 followers it was, I think. And he has
Mhm.
500 dedicated followers apparently. And he's talking about like I'm gonna tear this shitty down and this and that. And then the comments are like, yeah, let's fucking do it. And they're talking about like getting guns and all this shit. And the whole time when I saw that, I was like, okay, like this would never happen.
No, it would not. It would never happen. Like, yeah, that's kind of where this whole thing falls apart for me too, because I was thinking about this and I was like, would this movie have worked better if the Riddler was the one gunman trying to kill the mayor? Because that's the whole thing with the Riddler's plot, which I will get to. But his whole plot is to purify the city of Gotham by getting rid of everybody, all the police force, all the corrupt like people behind it. So that's his whole plot, and he's murdering important politicians like billionaires, things like that. That's his whole thing. So near the end of the movie, he gets his thugs, his cronies, the people who follow him, to like shoot at people after he blows up bombs and starts to flood the city. So I love the angle that his plan works, and that instead of trying to stop this from happening, Batman's just trying to desperately clean up the mess.
Yes.
But I think that it very quickly turns into like schlock at a certain point, because he's just fighting these like Redditors. Like he's not trying to stop the Riddler. He's just stopping these random dweebs from shooting people. And it's just like, that's not very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was fine the way they set it up, but it was just the fact that it was like they went the YouTube route. And I was like,
Mhm.
people would never fucking do this ever. And plus, if it was like Reddit style, uh, the people who would show up wouldn't be very like trained or anything of the
Yes.
sort.
Yeah.
But these guys were.
And that's the thing. That's the weird kind of vibe I get from this. I'm like, why are these people putting up any sort of a fight against Batman? I don't know. Like, they're so hard to like take down for some reason. I'm like, these should be like stick people with guns.
These are like the
Like, if
airsoft,
anything.
like people you see at the airsoft range.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't it be great if they just like showed up and all they had were like airsoft weapons? You
They
guys
misread
ready?
the assignment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got sniped the mayor. It's just a little BB. Ow! Who the
She goes, "Oh, what the fuck, man?
who did that? Got that
There's that fucking nerd up there."
and it just cuts back to the Riddler going, no. They thought they were gonna bring real guns.
That was not supposed to happen.
That would have been great. But uh yeah, I mean he does a fine job, I guess. He cleans him up, he gets shot multiple times. Then he injects himself with a setup piece for the future. No, I don't know if you know this, but it was the Venom serum. Did you notice that?
Oh, for
Yeah,
Bane, right?
he injected.
You're right. I never even thought of that.
Yep, it was mean
Yeah.
green.
He
So
gets all like lethal. He gets all like crazy and
yeah,
strong.
and he starts beating the shit out of the guy. No.
Yeah, he does.
And then the guy goes, and then they ask him, "Who are you?" And he goes, he could barely breathe.
Yeah. That was a great freaking interpretation of that character. Yeah, you're right. Or impersonation.
Yeah.
You think he said that because he had brain damage? Like he just couldn't talk anymore? Like that's
Yeah.
all he can say for the rest of his life?
Yeah. That's all he's got.
He
And
just
that's where that whole dynamic came from. So the
Yeah.
Batman, he's all striving for vengeance and all this, but they misinterpreted it and they thought,
Yes, they took the wrong idea from it.
yeah. So now the Batman's like, oh, I gotta be more. I gotta be hope
Yes.
as well.
Yes. And he
Oh,
learns from it. He learns from that, and the city is completely fucked. Like it's like flooded.
it's
Crime is rampant. Like it does not get worse for any of our characters at the end,
yeah, it's just a cesspool.
or better. Yeah, it's crazy.
I
Um,
I wonder if the Batman's gonna be like more aware of his surroundings in the future because in this movie he didn't really seem to care about pedestrians as much. They were just kind of there. I don't know if you know what I'm
yeah,
talking about because
yeah.
specifically I'm talking about when he was chasing down the Penguin in
Oh,
his Mad Max vehicle.
yeah,
So in this movie, he has like a Mad Max style Batman mobile where he just put on a fucking like jet turbine at the end of it.
yeah.
It looks all
That was I loved his car.
the look was really cool, and I like how they introduced it. But
Yeah,
they there's a whole scene where they're just like they're roaring down a freeway and they're crashing into cars and all this stuff, and cars are blowing up and all this stuff,
yeah.
and all these cars have people in them. So I'm like, Batman just killed a whole bunch of people on the fucking freeway. He didn't care.
To
So
be fair, it wasn't him that did it. It was
no way.
it
What are
was
you talking
Penguin.
about? No way. No way. At the end of that chase scene, what does he do? Do you remember?
He Doesn't he jump the ramp that explodes?
Yeah, he fucking.
Yeah, but he's not the one that exploded it.
But he didn't care. He was just like, "Oh yeah, these people are dying, but I'm gonna ramp off of those dudes."
Yeah, he did not care. And Paul, you know what? And yet he was still more heroic than Zack Snyder's Batman. So
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but I was just like, Jesus, like he just let all those
yeah,
people die, and
yeah.
not only that, he was way brutal with like the people he was beating up and all this stuff.
I'm vengeance.
So I'm sure he's killed
Yeah.
some people. I don't know. They didn't mention anything of that sort, but I feel like
Yeah, they did.
did they?
Yeah, when Catwoman loads the gun to go kill what's his Falcone,
Mhm.
Batman says, "Well, that would make us just like them. Like, don't kill them." Like he says something like that. Like killing him would make us just like him. And I'm like,
Oh.
oh, there you go. There's his code that's mentioned once.
I mean, you can mention the code whenever you want, but the actions are what represent you. So
Just paralyze him and give him brain
yeah,
damage. That's my method.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeesh. Might as well have killed the guy. I bet he would have been happier that way.
He's like, Batman, please. My Medicare won't cover this. Like, just kill me, bro.
And then towards the end, adding on to the pedestrian thing,
Hmm.
after he beat up the Redditors, he drops down and he does a silly thing. I don't know if it was I don't know why he did this, but there was like a dangling electric pole or something about to hit the flooded water with a bunch of people in it. So he holds onto
Yeah.
the rope or the cable and he cuts above himself, so he falls with the electric
Oh, I
pole
remember. Yeah.
to the water. And I was like, why did he do that? Right? But
Hmm.
that's besides the point. I don't know why they did that. But what I'm getting at is when he lands in the water, he goes over to like a structure with a bunch of people that are underneath it, and he opens it up and he tries to like save them, right? And he
Hmm.
extends out his hand, and the first hand that comes out and asks for his help is a kid that he's been kind of looking over throughout the movie
Yeah.
because it he's in like the same situation that he is. He's an orphan or whatever. I'm pretty
His parents were one of the victims of the Riddler.
Yeah, and I'm pretty positive that kid's probably gonna be like Robin or something in the
Yeah.
next movie or some shit. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, but he saves that kid, and then he saves the mayor, and then after that, he just kind of goes like, "Okay, I'm done." He turns around.
I thought that was so funny.
He just turns around and leaves, and there's like still a bunch of people under the structure. I'm like,
Yeah. It
oh,
was so funny. It was because you were just like, oh, I guess he's like, well, see ya.
yeah, done.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And
funny.
then yeah, like he rescues a couple people, and then he says goodbye to Catwoman because she like fucks off with all this money. She leaves him, and I was just kind of like, yeah, this love story didn't really do it for me. Um,
Yeah,
and he goes on that whole monologue about how he needs to be better, he needs to be bigger than just vengeance. Like he needs to be more, and um, kind of going off about how hard shit's gonna be.
yeah, yeah,
um, and then while Riddler is in prison, he meets up with some other guy in there. It's kind of unclear who it is. There's some theories. And they basically just have a short conversation, and it just establishes like this guy's probably going to be the villain if they make a sequel. Um, but it was actually hotly debated as to who was in that prison cell
Mhm.
between our group of friends who saw this movie. Who do you think it is, Paul?
I thought it was Two-Face. Personally, his hair was all frazzled and stuff like Two-Face was,
Yes.
and his face looked all fucked up. So I thought it was
Yeah, he
him.
was in silhouette.
Yeah, but our friend says that it has to be the Joker because he made a
Mhm.
clown joke and all this shit, and I'm like,
Yeah, he made a clown joke and he had a laugh that's very characteristic of the Joker.
he had a
It wasn't a
laugh,
very.
but it wasn't a good
Mhm.
laugh.
It
So
was not a good laugh. It was
that's
not a good laugh.
that's why I thought maybe it was still Two-Face because the laugh wasn't good. It wasn't. it wasn't like it wasn't anything resembling the iconic laugh. It was just
Yeah.
okay.
While Riddler was like,
Yeah. I'm like, anyone can do that laugh. Like, maybe it's still Two-Face, but we'll see. I don't know.
I agree with you personally. I think it's Two-Face mostly because I don't want fucking Joker
I
again.
really don't want the Joker again, to be honest.
Yeah.
They've done it
Just
a lot.
please, can we move on for now?
Yeah. I know there's not that many villains in the Batman universe, but, like, they could at least explore something else. They haven't touched, like, Mr. Freeze in a long time. Just do Mr. Freeze or
Yeah.
some shit.
They haven't done like fucking they haven't done a good Scarecrow either.
They've never done well, they did the Batman Begins Scarecrow, and some
I
people
know,
like
but that was not very good. That was like Ra's al
you know
Ghul.
who they haven't touched? Clayface. They've never done
They
Clay,
haven't done Clayface. Yep, you're right.
so
You're right.
who knows? But I would like
Um,
a good Mr. Freeze as opposed
yeah.
to the Arnold Freeze.
I hate when people talk during the movie.
But,
Yeah.
you know, we'll see what lies in store for the future.
There's one last thing I want to note, like a funny little like writing quirk that I noticed in these movies. I noticed it with The Dark Knight Rises, and I noticed it with this movie with the Riddler. So with The Dark Knight Rises, Bane's evil master plan is he wants to cleanse Gotham of corrupt billionaires because they're single-handedly ruining the city.
Mhm.
And it's proven that they are ruining the city. And then you're watching this and like, wait a minute. Bane kind of has a point. Oh wait, no, he also wants to nuke the city and kill everybody. Okay, so he's the villain. Same thing with the Riddler. He wants to get rid of all the corrupt police officers, and you're like, wait, this guy kind of has a point. Like, we should get rid of the corrupt police officers. And they're like, oh, but he also wants to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, he's the villain.
They're very, they have good ideals, but it doesn't,
Yeah.
no, the actions don't match.
Yeah,
And
but I just imagine someone in a writing room being like, wait, this guy's kind of based. We need to.
gotta put something out there.
Yeah.
Before we do end, I do have one more thing or so.
Mhm.
I think the fact about the billionaires is really funny that you bring up.
Okay.
They kind of explore that a little bit, just
They do.
a tad bit. Is
A
it?
very teensy bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Catwoman essentially tells Batman, she's like, "Oh, I can tell you're a rich guy," you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of the way he acts or thinks or something.
Mhm.
I don't remember too
Just
well.
how unimportant things are to him.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I can tell you're rich because you don't care," or something like
Yeah.
that, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty funny that they bring it up."
Now that we've talked everybody's ears off about Batman, would you recommend this movie?
Yes. Yes, I would. If you got 3 hours to spare and you're ready to soak your diapers full of piss and cum, then do it.
Wait, did you say come?
Yeah.
Oh, for when Robert Pattinson shows up. You're right.
Yeah, you didn't cum a little bit?
I only did when Penguin showed up. When
Oh, girl came up.
I wish there
Hey,
was more
doll.
scenes. Hey, dog, nice ass. I wish that there was more scenes where he was taking off his shoes and showing us his feet, but
Yeah, he
whatever.
didn't waddle
Maybe,
enough, dude. He didn't waddle enough.
yeah, maybe in the Reeves cut, we'll see more of that.
Yeah, release the Reeves cut.
Release the Reeves cut. Really, give us my penguin feet.
They'll actually have Danny DeVito again
Yeah,
as the Penguin once more.
biting some guy's nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very much enjoyed this movie. As I said earlier, I do think it's better than Joker. In terms of like standalone superhero films. No, I will not elaborate. You can cry all you want. Um, is it a hot take? Are we in the era now where I can say the Joker sucked?
That's pretty fucking hot, dude. That's like sizzling. Like
All right, maybe
you're throwing an egg on the pan right there.
maybe at some point I can elaborate further. I was not a very big fan of the Joker.
There's so many fanboys, so many people, not even fans, that go, "Wow, that was a good movie."
Yep, I know. I definitely agree that I'm in the minority. But hopefully in a future episode I can make a good case as to why I did not like that movie.
Sure, yeah. We
Um
can talk about it one of these days when we go back to Cape Shit. Sponsored
Wait.
by DC, by the way, and Marvel.
We are sponsored by Geek Crate and
Yeah, sponsored by Spencer's.
Spencer's.
Get your The Batman merchandise today.
It's right next to the mugs that say "I fucking hate fucking Mondays." Fuck. But yes, I did really enjoy this movie. I thought it was very solid. I was entertained for most of it. I did say it feels like it's length sometimes, and I think the third act was kind of a missed opportunity. I love that they're using the Riddler, and please, please, please don't let that dude be the Joker. I'm so tired of him.
We'll see. Yes, I also enjoyed the
Yes.
film. I thought the pacing was good. They did a great job. I was entertained throughout the whole movie. The scenes, the set pieces were great. Everything was dark and gritty and disgusting, and I loved it.
Yes.
Little things here and there that could have been ironed out, but that's okay. A little bit here and
Mhm.
there that could have been cut, but that's okay. Overall, I thought it was really good. And like I said, if you got the time, go for it. Yeah, I think probably you know what? I wouldn't even say if you don't like cape shit stuff, I think you would enjoy this. It's just a good detective film.
Yeah, so the Batman was a pretty solid movie, but you really know what it was missing? I just wish that just one time that the Riddler and Batman would just passionately kiss.
This was the riddle I wanted you to solve all along, Batman.
Just like 2 solid minutes of them just not cutting, nothing.
You know, you know those letters that the Riddler kept giving the Batman to
Yeah.
the Batman. The last one it says "I love you." And Batman looks up, and then they just hug passionately and start
Yeah. Starts pouring rain.
insane.
God. 0 out of 10 movie.